And my name is Sean, and tonight we're just going to be covering. This is a pretty basic overview of Corel and the main features of the wizard. So if there's something you want to see a little bit more of, if there's time, I'll definitely try to squeeze all that in. Um, but otherwise, it's definitely going to be a basic webinar. I see some of you, you might be this might be a little repetitive just because it is kind of an overview. But if there's something that you wanted to see while I'm going through anything, just shoot it in the question area. Or if you need me to repeat anything, just let me know. Someone asked, is there an update to the wizard coming soon? An update, I'm not sure. Was there something you were looking for, something that needed to be updated, or are you just asking in general? Just more features. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know about any. Yeah, soon. Anyone that's been around for a while knows Matt's favorite word is soon. Yeah, so you say Matt keeps teasing us with the Wizard 5. Yeah, so it might be stuff more like that. That might be before there's an update. It might be the Wizard 5 before there's another update or something like that. I don't even think Matt knows the answer to that right now. Again, it's very, if there's an issue with something, we'll definitely update it. But like a new feature 5 at this point. But if there's like something that's wrong with the current, live template editor or something like that, we would definitely fix that and update it. But more of the new features you'd probably see in 5. Yeah, Kelly, make it for Adobe and Mac. So I know some of the files, like the live templates, we're trying to make more like ready for Adobe Illustrator. The problem with the Macs is that Corel's not compatible for Mac, and since it's what we base it out of, that's where we run into the issue of not really being compatible. But the Adobe files with the live templates, there's already some out there. I know we're trying to convert more of them to that style, so at least we'll have some of those, live templates and features like that. But yeah, I know if we had on the wizard, or if we were able to use it for a Mac, all of our problems would be solved. When is 5 coming out? Soon. So no, there's no date on 5. The good thing about the wizard is if anyone is like looking to purchase the design software that maybe doesn't have it yet, and they're looking maybe for this sale, anything you put into the wizard, so right now yeah, anything you put into the wizard, so right now I think the wizard cost is $469.99 for the 4.0. Let's say the wizard 5 comes out in a couple months from now, or maybe at the beginning of the year. Whatever you have invested will already count towards the wizard 5. So if you purchase the wizard now at $469, and let's say the next wizard is $569, usually it goes, the last two have gone up from 100 and then 90. So I'm sure the price increase would stick around that area. So you'd probably have anywhere from like a $90 to $100 upgrade to the 5. Now, at that point too, you don't have to upgrade. So if there's a new feature in the 5 that would help you or benefit you, then yeah, it's definitely worth the upgrade. But if you're everything you do with your business you can do in 4, there's no need to upgrade to the 5. We'll still support the 4. We still support the 2.0. So whatever, we don't force you into upgrading or don't support any of the previous versions, anything like that. We always support the wizard from the 2.0 to whatever the newest version is. So if you're looking to invest like that, it's always a good investment because you don't pay $469 each time or $569 the next time. It's whatever you have invested is always invested into the wizard. All right, so first we're just going to go over a little bit of CorelDraw, some of the basic tools, maybe how to use them, some of the font features, and some other little features that we kind of use a little bit more when we're designing. So again, if you have any questions or need to see anything repeated, just let me know, and as I see those come in, I'll kind of ask those and answer those, and I'll definitely repeat anything needed. So the first thing I always recommend to someone that's new to CorelDraw is the first thing we want to do is update all of our settings. So under tools, you'll have this customization tab, and you can actually go to options too, but we're going to hit the customization, and we're going to pull up this Windows. At the top, it'll say options, and then you'll see all these like workspace, appearance, general, all these. So we'll pretty much start at the top at appearance. So if you like things magnified a little bit, you can always use this sizing, and you'll see over here how all the buttons will increase in size. Now, when you do that, certain features will hide. So like down here now, half of my toolbar is gone because the images are so big. So I have to hit this arrow to see everything else. So it will kind of change the format of your screen. But you'll be able, so you can see now how my bar over here has all these different buttons. So if you're missing buttons over here, it's probably because the size has just been increased a little bit. So you can play with that, and just whatever setting you like. If you liked it blown up, you can increase the sizing. If you like it a little bit smaller and you want to fit more in your toolbars, you can size it a little bit smaller. Underneath that, if you want to customize your, hey Janeska, note, we're just getting started. This is actually the first thing we're going over, so you didn't miss too much. All right, so the theme here is light. You can go from light to black, and you'll see how your appearance in Corel changes. So there's nothing, here. It's just all preference. So if you want to change up the theme, feel free. Some people like working with kind of like a black background instead. I just kind of stick with how it was pretty much set up before. The one thing I try to usually change is try to find like a nice garnet color, because we're Florida State fans at TRW. So if Matt says anything about Miami, it's all Florida State. So we try to find some garnet for the window border and stuff like that. But otherwise, it's all preference. So whatever you guys want, you can kind of edit that in here. General, the only thing that I would probably change, the black is a little bit easier on the eyes. So if you're, around a computer screen all day, that's a great point. It's, the black might be a little bit easier on your eyes. Someone asked, where did you find these options? That's going to be, it's going to be under tools and customization. And that's where you're going to find all these different options. So the general was the next tab. The only thing I would change here is, instead of like every time you open up your CorelDraw and you see that welcome screen, if you just change this to start a new document, it just goes right into a new document and pretty much gets you started and skips that whole welcome screen process and everything like that. So it's not a big deal, but that's the only thing I'll really edit in this area. Yeah, someone asked if you'll be able to view this later. This will be recorded, so usually within 48 hours we have these edited and back on YouTube. And the link will actually change if anyone downloaded it from their download history. If you got the link from there, it will change from registration to recorded link. So you'll be able to find that in there. And we'll put it up on our YouTube and Facebook channels as well. The next is display. The only thing really that I would change or make sure is set up is the default action for the mouse wheel. We're going to hit that as zoom, or make sure that's zoom. So that way, that little scroll on your mouse, you can zoom in and out of your projects a lot easier if this is set to zoom. You're not really going to have to do too much to like the edit, nodes, handles, power clip frame. This gets a little bit more into it, where with the basic kind of stuff, the next big tab that we're going to hit is the save tab. So this save option is what I recommend to everyone that starts off with Corel. Is it has an auto backup feature for when it saves. So when you're working on these projects, every 5 minutes it will save your project no matter what. So even if you don't hit the save button, it'll auto back up your project. But the only bad part about this is Corel sets it to 20 minutes. So we always just want to change this to every 5 minutes. And that way, if you're working and for some reason your computer crashes, it's most likely you're going to save a lot more with your project if it's saved every 5 minutes than if it was set to 20. So this is the first thing, if I'm working on someone's computer, is I always kind of go in here and change this or just make sure it's set up this way. It's going to create a backup file. So if you want to, right now it goes to this folder down here. It's just a folder that it kind of creates. But if, excuse me, if you want it set to a specific folder, just click that, hit browse, and wherever folder you want it set to, maybe your, probably not your desktop because then it would save a lot of files right onto your desktop. But you could create a folder under, documents and just put backup file. Create a new folder called backup files and save it all to there. Otherwise, you're gonna have to, if you ever need that file, you might have to, come back here and find out where they're actually going to, because it's just gonna create a file in your C drive, kind of like, and it's gonna be a little bit more hidden. Otherwise, most of the other features you're not going to change too much. But if you need to customize anything, you can go through all these different, features and, mess with them, change, edit any of the shapes, or like, where is it? Your tool shapes and everything like that, nodes and handles. You can change all these as well. So if you want to really get into it, you can change the line colors. But again, most of the basic settings is just going to be the appearance, the startup tab, possibly the display and the zoom, and then your save feature. Eric, I'm not able to open up your image right now, so what I can do, if you want to send me your email, I can look it up and send you a direct email instead after the webinar. All right, so that's pretty much just the, setting up or customizing your settings. You can send it to info@therhinestoneworld.com. So the next part of Corel is going to be kind of our basic tools over here on the left-hand side. The ones up top are somewhat similar, or you might see some that repeat, but this is actually the TRW toolbar that you'll install with the Design Wizard. All right, so the top tool is going to be our pick tool. That's just going to let us always select different objects. So if we have our different squares here, it will let me click on that object, or I can highlight the two if I want to select those. Pretty basic. The next one is going to be our shape tool. And this one comes in handy to allow us to kind of add different shapes and effects to Pam said my TRW logo disappeared and some crazy pick is there now. How do I change it back? I'm not sure what. Did the logo up here disappear? Is that what you're referring to? Okay. Try just reinstalling the toolbar and see if that should reinstall it and hopefully fix it. If not, I'll give you a call, possibly either after the webinar or definitely tomorrow. We can get that fixed for you. So the shape tool allows us to add just different shapes to our object. So if we have like a square like this is just a basic shape tool. I can grab these corners, and when I pull in, you can see how it goes from the sharp edges to kind of just rounds them off. And if you hold this option, you'll see different shape tools. So you can kind of go through here. Each one has different effects. So this one kind of twirls the object. And you can see how slow it's going right now when I'm doing this. All those type of controls can be edited up here. So you have your rate of speed. So if I increase that, and maybe I want this circle to be a little bit bigger, so I'll make that 1. And now when I do this, you can see how fast and how large my twirl is now. So with these different shape tools, as you click on them, you'll see different settings up here. So I can make this a little bit larger if you want like a different or larger size. So you can go through here and just kind of play with these different shape tools. We're not going to use them too much when we're designing. Probably the actual shape tool and maybe like the roughen will be the most used, and possibly the twirl. But those just allow you to kind of go around your edge, and then it would make it really rough instead. So the rough's pretty cool. It definitely, if you, depending on your design, you could definitely add some different unique looks using that. So those tools are available, and it's going to be under the shape tool at first. Just hold and click, or click and hold, and then you'll drop down and see all the different ones you can choose from. The next one is going to be our crop tool. The crop tool is most likely going to be used for like pictures or something like that. Maybe if you're doing more sublimation, or if you're trying to crop part of a picture out to trace it. But what that will do is, just if you have part of this square, and I just wanted that square. Actually, let's make it an object first. So if we take our crop tool, it will just crop out our design. Now, because it's not a complete object, it's just going to give us this look here. But if I had, let me bring in a picture real quick. So if I had a picture like this, and I just really wanted more to focus on the picture, I could set up my crop tool around him, double click, and then it'll just crop out the rest of that design to kind of get rid of it for you. So that's mostly what we'll use the crop tool for. But otherwise, you probably won't use it too much. Underneath that, we have our zoom and pan. That again, if you have the scroll on your mouse, that's that option that we set. Someone asked, how do you bring a file, or how do you bring a picture in there without going to file and insert? What I did, I just went to Google. I'll just bring it in here real quick. I just searched baseball players. So if you right click, copy image, and then right click paste, it'll just copy and paste the image just like that for you. All right, someone asked about going to wireframe. So the wireframe is right up top here, or if you're using the TRW toolbar, the wireframe is going to be this button. The enhanced view is going to be right next to it. So that will switch you from wireframe back into enhanced. Otherwise, up top here, is it under layout or view? You'll see wireframe and enhance. So if you're just going through Corel, it'll be under view. Otherwise, you'll have it on your TRW toolbar, and you'll actually have it on your design wizard, the enhance and wireframe view here. So there's actually 3 different ways you can look at it. But otherwise, with the picture, just a copy and paste. Now, some images will have like a protection on them. So if like you're in Google and you grab an image, maybe because it's the Indians, it might not work as well. Might be like more protected, where it will just show like a black square instead. So sometimes you might see something like that where it just turns black. That's just like a protective they put on the image, so you just won't be able to copy and paste all of them. Excuse me. Is there a way to have the wizard open to a specific tab? So Terry, the live template editor will open to a specific tab. Do you mean like to a file, or when you open it, like a certain tab here? All right, so we'll keep moving. So the zoom, you really want to use the mouse to be able to zoom in and out. Now with a mouse like this, when you're zooming in and out, you'll see this a lot when you first start out. The zoom is going to go to where you click or you're holding like the mouse at. So this yellow circle here, if I want to zoom into the yellow, I'm putting my cursor on the yellow circle and zooming in. If I want the blue, I move my cursor to the blue and zoom in there. So sometimes you'll be working, you might have like a design in the middle of the screen, but your mouse might just kind of, you might have moved your hand and it's down here. And if you just zoom in down here, it's just going to zoom in to a, white area. So it's just following your mouse wherever you zoom. So it's going to be, that's kind of one of the first things you'll see is, they'll be working on something here and they'll just zoom wherever, and it zooms away from their design. So just zoom out, find your cursor and go to the object you want, and it should be a little bit easier to zoom in and out. No, Terry, right now there's not a specific way to set it up to like whatever, like a certain tab opens up. It's most likely always, I think it opens up to the edit tab each time. Yeah. So it'll just always open to edit, and then you'll just hit mockups. All right, so underneath the zoom, it's going to actually say freehand first, the freehand tool. This is kind of like all your different drawing tools. So the freehand is kind of just lets you click, hold, and draw. And there's just different styles. So this is a 2-point line, so it kind of makes it straight lines just like this. You just click and hold, and it creates a line. So when you're actually like designing and tracing in here, you're probably going to use the B-spline the most. That just is every time you click, it creates the next spot. If you want like a clean, sharp angle, you just hold, excuse me, V as in vector before you click. And you can see how it gives you nice clean angles rather than rounded, is if you simply don't hold V as in vector. So when you're tracing, like if we had that baseball player still in here, and I wanted to trace this baseball player like a silhouette, I'm going to use the B-spline tool to kind of go around my player to trace him. So that's the tool you're going to be using the most to do kind of tracing like this. I prefer the B-spline, but yeah, I guess it just depends on how you design. I just got used to the B-spline first, so I'm just more used to it that way. But you could technically use, I'm not sure exactly how to say it, the Bezier tool. That's probably the second best, but that one's just going to work a little bit different, where you kind of have to get used to it a little bit first. Not to say that it's not as good or anything, but I prefer the B-spline myself. But yeah, exactly. So if you're used to it, I would stick with it. If maybe try the B-spline, but if it feels like you're not as fast in it, then I would just stick with the Bezier instead. So it's probably the second most used, or it might be just split with the B-spline. But what's nice about it too is essentially every click you're making is you're leaving a node behind. So let's say I really mess up here and go way out here. I can finish my design and come back and always re-edit these. So I just click on those nodes that I didn't want. It deletes them, and then I can even shape this one back inside. And now my design's ready to go again. So with the B-spline, you can always go back and edit. I'm sure you can with the Bezier tool too. It's just preference. All right. So the next ones, or the next features or tools that we'll use is the different shapes. So anytime with the rectangle or the ellipse, which is the circle tool, if we're ever, and really any tool or shape we're using in here, so you'll see all the basic shapes, the arrows, the polygon. any of these features, excuse me, if I hold control while I create a square or this rectangle, it'll make it a perfect square. So it keeps it perfectly, all the lines perfect. So if I do the same with the circle, I hold control, it's going to make a perfect circle. If I let go of control, you can see that I can make an oval shape now, however I want. I could still make a perfect circle, but to know that it's perfect and to not guess, I'm just going to hold control. So those are going to make perfect circles for you every time. Or perfect shapes by holding control every time. Now, in each tool you have, or each shape or feature that you have, you'll see different options pop up at the top here when you're in those shapes. So right now we have a circle, so I can actually make it like a pie shape or an arc, depending on how I draw this. So it just gives you a couple different options up here. This one allows you to control kind of the different shapes. So if I wanted more of like a Pac-Man, I can maybe close this off a little bit more, rotate it, and now I have like a Pac-Man shape really quick. So it just each tool and each shape will have different settings. So the square, you can adjust the different corners. So if we draw these corners in now, you'll see how the corners are completely different. So I can make them just, cut off like that, make them indented, rounded, whatever I want. You have your different options up top here. Now, as you get into different shapes, you'll see with our star shape, it will control the points. So I can make this a 60 pointed star, and I can adjust the sharpness. So if I wanted it not as sharp, maybe put it down to 20, and you can see it totally, looking at this, you would never think, oh, we started this as a star. So you can definitely get a lot of different looks by just kind of playing around with these different shapes and the sharpness and all their different features that each one of these has. And through the basic shapes, you can go through here. You'll see these different categories you already have. So your basic shapes, those are all going to be up top here. So when you select basic shapes, at the top, you'll see all the different shapes that it already has pre-created. Now, right now, you'll see the heart. That's because that's the last shape I used. So if I switch this and I use this kind of this stop signal or stop or don't sign, every time I go into this tool now, if I go to basic shapes, it's going to be the last shape I used up top here. So it might be a different image than what you're seeing. It's probably going to be like this rectangle that you see up top here first. Just know if you click that, it'll show you these different shapes. So if I want to draw a perfect heart, it already has that created for me, so I don't have to go to like Google and search a heart vector. I can just create that right in Corel. And again, we have different banner shapes in here, so this will definitely come in handy with the designing. You'll see us use these shapes a lot. So we have different types of banners already created that you're able to kind of use when you're designing in Corel. All right, so any questions on the basic shapes or how to use them? Yeah, so someone asked how to widen the lines. Now, for anyone that's doing like vinyl work and stuff like that, just because we widen these lines doesn't necessarily mean that when we cut it, it's going to look like that. So I'll give you an example with this star here. At the top, you'll see this little outline width. If I increase that, you'll see how the lines are a lot bolder now. Now, that does not change my shape at all of this star. When I go to my wireframe, see how it's just still that skinny line? Enhanced view shows this dark bold line, but that's just there to kind of show you the outline. So we got a couple questions in. How do you take the bottom of the heart and pull it to the left? Matt showed us and I didn't get it. Once you create this heart, once you create any of these shapes, you'll want to probably convert it to a curve, and that will allow you to see all the nodes. Those are these little circles that you see around your design. So once you convert it to curves, and to do that, you just select your design, right click, and hit convert to curves, or select it and just hit Control Q. That's going to be the shortcut right here. So when you're working in Corel, all these little like Control Z, Control X, Control C, those are shortcuts. So convert to curves is just Control Q. So you'll start kind of seeing some of those and remembering kind of those important ones. Control Q is one of those. So once we convert this to curves, I can double click and I can see the lines. So I can just select this bottom and pull it out to the left this way, or to the right, or move it up top this way and kind of reshape my design. Is that what he was doing? Okay. So yeah, and then you can see when you click on a node, these little lines that come out. So I can actually grab that and change how my heart is shaped. So each one of those nodes, when you click on it, you see how those lines pop up now? So I can fully control that heart now. So however you want it to look, you'd have control of it. So how do you keep the thicker lines in the stars? So it depends on what type of design you're working with. Like if you were printing this, it would print as is. So if I did a fill color, it would print this green and the black lines. Because we're working with like a vinyl, it's just going to pretty much cut the green. So if I wanted this outline, I can hit convert outline to object. And that's right here on our TRW toolbar, convert outline to object. This is square right here. And that will actually convert that line to a cuttable vector file. So it's very simple with the wizard. You just select that line you have created and hit the convert outline to object. Now that's a cuttable vector, and that's a cuttable vector too. All right, someone's saying the banner won't let it fill colors. I'm not sure. Teresa, you might just have to send us a picture of the banner you're using. I'm not sure why it's not letting you color it in. But if you send us in a picture to our email, we'll take a look at it and see if we can figure out that issue. Awesome. Thank you, Kristen. All right, so any more questions on our basic shapes? All right, keep on moving. So someone asked, oh, for the circle, can you make it thinner with the one with the line through it? So with this one, let's see. Yeah, so if you select this little red part of now this is like a special shape, this little red dot. If you click and hold it, you can adjust how wide or thin that line is. So this one's a little bit different. Not like when you click on every shape, you can see how this one doesn't have that red kind of, what is it, a diamond? Yeah, red diamond. So it's just special to some of those shapes, but when you see that, you can left click and hold. And adjust the lines. Awesome. All right. So the next big feature is just going to be the text tool. Now, the biggest mistake I see with the text tool is when someone wants to write out, let's just say they want to write out baseball. What they'll do is kind of create this text box. They'll draw a square and write out baseball. And then they'll try to like resize this. And then it starts breaking apart like this. So anytime we're designing with fonts in the software, Corel, all we want to do is we're going to select the text tool, but we're just going to left click. And you'll see kind of that just line. And then we can type out our word. So once we do that, now I can pull it from the sides and resize it to whatever I want. Come up here and choose all the different fonts. So a lot of these are going to be preloaded. If you're looking for a certain font or style of font, depending what Corel version you have, it has these filters over here on the right hand side. So if I wanted just to see all my script fonts, I could check my script, and then all my script style fonts are going to show up. Or if I want condensed fonts, all my condensed fonts will show up. So this way I can kind of filter through a lot of these different fonts without wasting a lot of time. New to the wizard, when I open a template, only nodes show instead of the drawing. The format, can you touch on this? Kyle, I would have to see what template you're opening. Each template's going to be a little bit different. So you could just be opening up like a already created vector, which would only show the nodes. Whereas if Matt was opening something and it was like a live text that had an envelope around it, it's going to look completely different. So I'll try to touch on that a little bit more when we're into like the wizard and the live templates, and hopefully that will answer the question. What does it mean when a dialog box pops up and asks you if you want a paragraph or other things for the font? I'm not sure why that's popping up. Want a paragraph or other things for the font. Let me see if I can get it to pop up. Are you doing anything in particular when that's popping up? I just haven't noticed that. So I'm not. All right, perfect. Yeah, next time. So it might be. Let me put it on an envelope real quick and let me know if this is what you're seeing. So are you seeing something like this? Okay. Yeah, because if it pops up with the edit text box, that just means it's already been set in an envelope shape. But yeah, just if you see that coming through, or just take a picture of it and send it in to us, and we'll take a look. Hey, Carrie, welcome. Anything you missed, it'll be recorded though, so you're fine. So click off the text and just try to change the font. Yeah, I don't know if it will. I'm not sure because I don't know how, without changing without clicking the font, I can't get to the different font, or without clicking on the text, I can't get to the different fonts. So yeah, just send a picture and I'll take a look at it. All right. Oh, so okay, so you're getting. Is this what you're getting? Thanks, Todd. Todd was just walking me through what you might be possibly getting an error, or the screen you're looking at. Yeah, so just you can pretty much ignore that. You could hit don't show this again. It's just you change your font without really choosing a font. So um, you don't really have to worry about that. It's just you change pretty much you don't have any font selected and you're just changing a font. So it's just asking you if you're trying to do that pretty much. So I just hit don't ask me that again. And okay, so it's changing your default font, they're saying. So you can change it that way, but otherwise it's just that's what it's asking you. But if you actually yeah, it's weird sometimes when you're typing. You'll see that a lot too, is like you're typing like this and you actually don't have the font selected. So you'll go in here and think you're changing the font and it actually doesn't change. So if you see something like that too, just click off of it, click on your font, and then when you change it, you'll see it actually like changing now. So if you're editing your whatever's in your font and you got to change the font style, it's not going to change unless you select it all or kind of click off of it and just have it selected like this. Then it will still register. All right. Thanks, Todd. All right. So pretty much that's it with the fonts though. There's nothing crazy with it. Next to it, you'll see your point size. We're gonna go into probably a little bit more with the live text and live templates on how to create like a font like that. But on each font, you'll see different settings. So like this arrow will have, or this Callisto will have like a bold. So you'll see the different options it gives you here if it has it. So you can click on those if you need it. Pretty much anyone that's used Word, it's kind of pretty much the same layout as that. You just select the font, the point size. If it has a bold or italic option or underline, it'll give it to you. If it's not lit up, it pretty much means that it doesn't have a bold font or a bold style to it. The next big tools we're gonna use, the Eyedropper tool is pretty cool too. You'll probably use it more down here if you're working like in a design and someone sends you their logo. And let's say I had this like weird shade of green and I didn't have it on my actual color palette. You can select this eyedropper, click on the green, and it'll add it down here to your colors. So even if you're working with an image, let me see if I still have this. Yeah. So this image right here, let's say I needed this Indian blue color, but I didn't actually have it. I can click on it and it'll add it down here. So now I can make my baseball in that same Indian blue that it has up there. So with different shadings it might come out darker, so maybe if I need a little bit lighter I could come up here, but you can see how the numbers would change. So it's going to give you different results depending on like where you click and stuff like that. But it's just a nice little tool to use when you're trying to match a certain color. Someone asked with the fonts, to see the different styles, it will have this little arrow next to it on the right hand side. That signifies that it has different styles. So if you just hover over that font, you'll see all the different styles it has. So this one doesn't have an arrow, so it's pretty much just what you see is what you're going to get. Otherwise, if you see an arrow, just hover over it and it'll open up to all its different options. So the next tool in our list is going to be the interactive fill tool. This tool is going to be very useful when you're working or using your mockups. So someone asked, can you circle a font? I'm not sure what you mean by circle a font. In the wizard, you're able to add to like favorites and stuff like that. Depending on the version of the Corel, I believe you can add to your favorites and stuff in this. But that's probably on just the newer versions of Corel. Oh, gotcha. Can you circle a font? And then someone said maybe text to circle. So yeah. What you can do for that, like if you have a circle and you want your baseball to go around this circle, That's going to be the text to path tool. Um, so yeah, so Todd mentioned you could use an envelope to put the font in a circle, and the envelope was one of the next tools we were going to get to anyway. So I'll just kind of show you that now. Under effects, you'll see the envelope tool. So this is how we shape a lot of our different fonts. So depending on what type of shape you want, you can use an envelope possibly to shape your text. Now to do like around a circle, I don't recommend the envelope because if we have our single arc here, if I try to do this to fit the circle, it kind of shapes it really, really bad. It doesn't actually go nicely around it. But if you just want like a nice kind of more of like an arc shape, it works really well with the envelope. But if we wanted the baseball actually around the circle, what we're going to use is the text to path feature. So if we're just using Corel, it's going to be under text and you'll see fit text to path. If you have our software in our toolbar, you actually have that fit text to path tool right here as well. So again, on our toolbar, it's just this A on the diagonal line. In just Corel, it'll be under the text feature and then fit text to path. So you can see the A on the diagonal line. We use their little symbols for the same button. So it's the same button, it's just we use this feature a lot, so we just put it on our toolbar so it's a little bit easier to find. So you're just going to select that button. You're going to get this little arrow and you're going to hold it up to the circle. So now that little red line that shows up, that signifies that this is in the middle of that circle. So I just left click and then it'll place it there for me. So if I want it to go all the way around, I can just increase the size and you can see how it starts to go all the way around. If I can get it right. I'll just do it up here instead. So if I go to like 50, it goes smaller. If I go to 500, it's going to start going all the way around my circle. And I can still make it a little bit smaller. We don't want to change the circle shape, just the text. So I can bring in the height and change it up that way as well. But that's how you're going to get it around nice circles like that instead of the envelope, which we'll use a lot. The envelope's going to be used a lot more probably than the fit text to path, just because this will allow us to get a lot of different shapes, banner shapes and stuff like that, where this is more just going around a circle. But to go back to our envelope feature real quick, since that's part of more of our Corel, to open it again, we're going to go to effects and envelopes, and it's going to pop up here on the right hand side. Now to add different envelopes, what you have to do first is select the shape that you want to add the envelope to. So right now I don't have anything selected, so my add new and add preset and my apply and reset, they're all grayed out because I can't use them right now. So if I select the baseball text, now you'll see how add new, add preset, all this lights up. So we're going to pretty much start with the add new. Add presets are already shaped for you. So they do have like a quick banner shape. So you can see how it shapes the text just like that. I can hit apply and now I have this nice banner shape. So you can use the presets, but if you want to control it yourself, you're going to click add new and you're going to use the different settings down here. So the straight line is pretty much all you're going to get is straight lines. It's not going to have this nice curved look here. So if I try the same look with this, with a straight line, you can see how it's just a nice kind of straight edge. It's not going to have this curved look to it. So that's what the straight line is going to get us. The curve is what you see here. So the curve will allow us to get different looks, but it's going to make it all more curved instead of the nice straight edged lines. So you can play around with these different envelope shapes. Now, when you're creating them, if you hold control and I pick left click and pull up the bottom, if I'm holding control, it's going to mirror or mimic what I do to the bottom to the top. So and it's going to do that to anything. If I click the right hand side and hold control, it's going to lift up the other right hand side or the top right. If I pull it down, it's going to pull it down with it. So you can get a lot of different looks. Now, if I hold shift and I do the same thing, it's going to do the opposite. So if I go down, it's going to bring the top up. If I bring the bottom up, it's going to bring the top down. So it's going to allow you to get a lot of different looks. But that's going to, you're just going to have to kind of explore and play with this a little bit. Just, again, it's control and shift with the envelopes will allow you to get different looks. The last one we were going to use is the unconstrained. This one's great for getting a lot of weird shapes. This double arc, you're probably just going to ignore that one for most of the time. But the unconstrained will allow us to get a lot of weird shapes. So if I wanted to pull it this way and then down here and then back up, it's going to let you take pretty much complete control of this envelope. Whereas these basic ones will allow me to pretty much raise it up or down. I can't go to the left or right with it. So these first three are a little bit more limiting to compared to the unconstrained option. But the envelopes, we'll get a little bit more into those with the live text too. But this is how the envelopes allow you to create a lot of cool text shapes and actually just different shapes in general throughout your designs. Any questions on the text to path, fonts, or the envelope features? So someone asked if there's a way to make it like lean forward or back. That's kind of just getting a little bit creative with it. Like if I did add new and maybe did straight line and brought the top in, see how it kind of makes it look like it's being pulled that way. Or you can possibly, if you click on the font once, we go to my pick tool. I have the font selected and I just click on it. Then I'll get these arrows on the top, bottom, left, right. If I click and pull that to the right, you can get that look too. So you can always lean it, if you're referring to leaning it forward like this way or leaning it back, you definitely have that option too. Okay, perfect. But yeah, the envelope can make you like this kind of effect too, where it's almost like the credits of like Star Wars going away from you, something like that. All right, so the last couple tools we'll use down here real quick is going to be the interactive fill. So when that's going to come in handy the most is we'll combine the wizard a little bit, is using our different vinyls. So we have our glitter vinyls preloaded in here. So let's say I wanted to send them this baseball design and they wanted to see it in some red glitter. Well, if I use the interactive fill tool, you can see right now, let's make sure it's converted to curves, and you can see the difference right now. If hey Pillar, if a font is still in a text form where it's not, this isn't converted to curves, I can still edit this baseball text if I wanted to. The glitter doesn't look like, it looks blurred. The minute you weld this together or convert it to curves, you can see how nice it already looks in comparison. Now, if we want to go a step further, we can use the interactive fill tool. I click on that and click on my baseball, and it's going to give me this little box. Sometimes it might be a box like blown up really big, and you can see the bigger the box is, it makes it really gradient now. It's, it doesn't look very nice. Like if you told someone this is a glitter sample, they'd probably laugh at you. So this box controls how this glitter really looks. So usually the smaller we go, the more detailed it is. But again, we can go too small as well, and it kind of takes away from that glitter look. So you can find that happy medium and just kind of adjust it so it gives it more of that glitter look. And you can spin it and get different results too. It's going to kind of change a little bit of the shading and everything like that. So depending on your design, you can adjust to make it look a little bit better with the glitter. So that's the interactive fill tool. And it's mostly, again, you're going to use it for mock-ups. You don't ever want to save your designs in the glitter format. It's not necessarily that it won't work or anything like that, but it's more of just like a trust thing with Corel. Like I would hate for you to do all this work and for some reason it doesn't read this glitter format and instead it creates like a picture or an image and you have to go back and recreate or something like that. So whenever you're saving, just use the flat colors. You can use the side palette color if you want, and that's already in Corel, or even like the stone color on your wizard. But you want to use flat colors. You don't want to save your design in a glitter format. And the last tool we have down here, which will come in handy a lot, is our Smartfill tool. If there's like an object that we want just, like let's say we have this baseball design and I just wanted maybe the B to be a different color, I can use the Smartfill and click on those. It would recreate a vector right on top of that image. And then I could maybe change these to red instead. And then I have a new or different looking design. I would definitely want to go back and make it is layered, so we'd have to delete this other B out of there, which isn't we could just click on the nodes and delete those out. But it's just a way to quickly fill an object using the Smartfill. So it will definitely come in handy when we're designing, or if we're trying to pull maybe like a vector out of a giant. Like one example I use is the magic patterns. So in our magic patterns, we have a lot of different designs in them. So let's go ahead and let's say I have my football design here and it's got all these little football designs in it. Well, maybe I want to use this, our center right here. I can use the Smartfill. It'll just fill in that object. And now I can use this center in a new football design that I need to create for my client. So I can change this instead of baseball. Oh, that's already been converted. So I'll change this to football. And then I can include this new vector in there. And now I have my new design. Something like that. But the Smartfill is going to be down here. Depending on what Corel version you have, it could be up top. Like I think X5 and 6, it's closer up top here. In the later versions, they moved it down here. Again, though, if you're a little zoomed in, you might not see these last few tools, and there might be like a little arrow going out to the right. If you click on that, you should be able to see the Smartfill and their interactive fill. So any questions on our basic Corel tools? Is there anything maybe I didn't cover that you had a question on? Yeah, so Pillar asked if there's a way to zoom in and out without using the arrows at the bottom. So you're gonna have to get a mouse that has like the scroll on it. So I know you came in late. I talked about it a little bit. If you have a mouse that has a scroll on it, like in between the left and right click, you can just use that to zoom in and out. Where you have your pointer on the screen is where it's going to zoom to. So someone asked, what version of Corel will Design Wizard work with? So the newest version, the 4.0, will say X6 or higher. But with the 5.0, if that comes out, I don't know if that will still be X6. But as long as you have the 4.0, X6 or higher will work fine. Oh, sorry, Pillar. So the interactive fill tool is when you click on whatever design you have, it should, so once I switch this to glitter, you'll see this little box pull up. So you just click on the interactive fill tool, click on the font or the text you're looking at, and then you can just adjust the box that way. So you can rotate it too if you want. But usually I just grab that little circle and make it a little bit smaller, and then that usually makes the glitter look a lot nicer. All right, so now we'll get into a little bit more of an overview of the design. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right. Sorry, Pillar. I'm just messing up. So down here, you should have little arrows. So you're saying, so yeah, if you have the arrows down here to get to it, you might have to go to your tools, customization, and appearance, and just size this down a little bit more. Even if it's at 100, you might have to go a little bit lower, and then it should be able to fit more tools on your toolbar. So let me know if that fixes it, and if that's okay. Sorry about that. All right, so we're getting into a little bit more of the wizard now. Again, if you have any other questions, even if it doesn't pertain, just let me know, and as those come in, I'll answer as many of those as I can. So the first thing about the design wizard that I want to show you is we're not going to go through every tool tonight. We obviously just don't have the time. So we're going to hit the main features of the designing software. But what's really cool about our design is our software is any tool that you want to see more of, or maybe you're not sure what it does, we have a video tutorial linked to every button. So right now it's starting you out. It's going to open up to the edit tab. You have your export, your templates, place and fill, mockups, magically. We have all of our different tabs. Welcome, Mary. Yeah, you'll be able to watch this from the beginning once it's recorded and listed. For now, you'll just be able to watch the live version. So depending on what tab you're on, you can just, like, let's say we wanted to know the knockout or the magic trap. So all I have to do, I'm on the edit tab here. I go to my video tutorial tab. I click the edit tab here. I can click on the knockout, and it brings me right to a YouTube video on our knockout tool. So this is just going to be a quick most of these are a quick, like 1.5, maybe to 5 minutes explaining the process of what the knockout tool does, how to use it, and possibly like a design that you can create using it. So if you're struggling with a certain key, I'd always recommend to check out those tutorials first, and then again, we're always available too. But if if you need it right away, you always have access to those video tutorials. Now, if you want to get a little bit more in depth, like designing with the knockout, we'll definitely have like a free webinar on that too. Probably already listed on our YouTube channel. Someone asked, is there any way to teach you how to use those glitter squares? Because mine is just showing just colors. So all you have to do to get to the glitter is click on this arrow here, and you'll see all the different vinyls right here. So right now it's probably just showing your EasyWeed colors. So if you go to Magic Glitter, it'll show you your glitter. We have the neon glitter, fashion colors, a lot of the different vinyl that we carry. Not everything, but a majority of the colors we carry are going to be listed in here. Someone asked, I just lost the question. The size of the page doesn't work. I select the design and the page don't size. Will you tell me what I'm doing wrong? Myra, I'm not exactly sure what you're trying to do with the size of the page. Now, if you have the design software, you have your page in the background here. So let's say you had an object that was bigger than the page, you had this square. You can just left click this little white box and it would automatically size your page to fit. Now if you don't have the software, you can manually size the page dimensions up top here. So if I wanted a large area to work with, I could make it a 20 by 50 square or a 50 by 50 square, and that's going to be my page to work in now. Yeah. Someone asked about putting a date on the record link. We'll definitely do that. What we're trying to do now too is try to just provide one link that says like registration, and then it'll automatically update to the recorded link, and it'll have the name of the webinar. I know sometimes like this one, there's, you know, I've done 2 overviews in the last probably like 4 months. So yeah, we'll definitely put a date on that so it's a little bit more, you know, you'll probably just go to the more frequent one rather than going to all of them. But yeah, as long as you look under your recorded or registration area, because everything's going to be alphabetized in your downloads, it should be a little bit easier to find now. No, someone asked if there's a way to highlight the tab you're in. No. I mean, it's when you click on it, it might put this little box around it, but for the video tutorials, you're just gonna, you know, it's gonna be the same thing. But there's no, it doesn't have like a highlight feature right now to show you what tab you're in. All right, so the first feature we're going to cover is going to be our live templates. So those are probably the most common tools you'll see us using. A lot of the designs we are creating now are all live templates, just so it's always easy to edit and customize for you. Got one question coming in. Yeah, so someone asked about going over a certain file. Yeah, so we'll definitely open up one of the templates. I don't know, someone's asking about the baby stats template. I don't know if I have that one installed. If I do, I'll try to open that one though. But essentially you want to see how to change the text, weld it, and get it ready to cut. So we'll definitely do that with one of the designs. But if you're still having a problem with that particular one, just let me know, and I can create like a little video on it. No baby stuff. Yeah, so we'll probably, if I have it, we'll do a baby stats, but if not, it'll probably just be a typical like sports one. So someone asked, that's a great question. Someone asked, in our edit tab, we have this magic patterns, and in our Docker area, we have our magic patterns too. They're the same. It's easier to pull from if you just click the magic patterns here, but you can click this arrow out and see all the different, like you can filter through all your patterns here. It's just such a small viewing area that I would recommend just pulling it up on the side here. Yeah, someone asked, can you make your own live template with the designer? Of course you can. We already have several videos showing you how to create those. So if you want to send me your email, just info@therhinestone.world, we can definitely send you some of those videos on getting started with creating your own live templates and text. We'll go a little bit over tonight, but we're not going to like create like our own template, maybe just some text and stuff like that. All right. So to get to our live template editor, that's going to be right here in our Docker tab. So right here, these are our 3 different Dockers. We have the live template editor, the magic patterns, what you see here, and our monograms. So we're going to just click the live template editor, and you'll see it pull up over here on the right hand side. Someone asked, can you show us how to send your completed designs to the Cameo to cut with the Connect? I don't think I even have the Connect on here. I don't have the Silhouette software on here, but I can, like I said, there's a video showing how to send it right to the Cameo. I'll show you how to separate everything in here, and as long as you have the Connect set up, it'll pretty much be a similar process. But I can definitely just send me an email, Carrie, and I can definitely get you a video on sending like a cut file to the Connect. There's someone asked, do the magic patterns come with the 4.0 or do you purchase them? Another great question. So the magic patterns that come with the software are going to be the 6 up top here. Maybe the 7. 6 for sure. It's going to be these hearts, circles, and stars. There might be 7, but you're going to get these basic ones. All the other ones you see with the sports and the zebra, those are going to be purchased separately. So once you purchase any of our live templates, you're gonna get a file to install with them. They're gonna be labeled as an exe file. So those are gonna automatically install into your software. So if this is your first time or you're new to the software, once you open up your live template editor, you're gonna see these folders on the right hand side. These are the folders. These are the settings that are gonna direct the live template editor to what folder it's gonna access. So right here, if I click the open template, I'm gonna click on the folder icon next to it, and it's gonna browse for a certain folder. So all of our live templates are gonna go to the same folder, and it's gonna be under your C drive. And then users, and I know this is a lot to begin with, but we have a video on how to directly set up these folder icons and everything like that. So you can just search that on our YouTube channel. But it's going to be users, and then public documents, and then you'll see this Rhinestone World folder. So once we do that, we're going to select our TRW templates. We're going to hit OK. So that's going to be our open template. So now every time I click this open template, it goes to all, and I do have some baby stats, all the different mini packs or full packs of the live templates that you purchased and installed. So no, someone asked a great question. If you purchase the files but don't have the wizard yet, will it automatically go into the wizard once you bought it? So if you have them installed, it should create this folder for you. And then you can once you have the wizard, you just tell it where to pull the folders from or pull the files from. So you would just, once you installed it or once you have the wizard, you'd still have to set up this folder the first time. Everybody that has the wizard has to set up this folder to know to go to your templates tab, but they should already be installed into that certain folder. So not all my live temps are showing in the live template editor. What did I do wrong? Don, just let me know which ones aren't showing up, and we'll see it, and we'll get that fixed. Now, if it was a live template that was purchased just as an individual file, or like it has, it's not like a mini pack or a full pack, those aren't going to install directly to that folder. So if it's just like a 3-pack of maybe, like we just put some out, like, let me just pull it up so it'll be easy to show you this way. So if you go to shop, designs, live templates, if you're just buying, so these are all like mini packs, but this first in, last out design here, this isn't going to come as an exe file. So you'll manually have to move these into that folder area. But if it's anything that has like a mini pack or a full pack like this, those will install with the exe. It's one of the sports packs. Yeah, so it should install into that area. So just give us a call and we'll hop on and just make sure it's in the right place. Yeah, if you get any errors with any of those files, just you can send us an email with the file you're getting an error on, and we'll make sure those get fixed for you. Yeah, so someone asked a great question. So you only need the exe files and not the zip files. Yeah, so the exes will be the installer. So those are I would always try to just install those first. The zip files are there just like if you have the silhouette, you'll probably just access the zip files because you can just move those files a little bit easier. But if you have the wizard and Corel, the exes will all install for you. The zip files are just there in case you don't, and you just still need to access those folders or designs. It just gives you a place to open those and move them around to whatever area you want to on your computer. Or like I said, if you're using the silhouette or something, the zip files will contain the SVG files and stuff too, so that everyone can access them. All right, so once we get all that set up, and for the change and add artwork, you're going to do the same thing. It's the same drop down, but instead, once you get to the rhinestone world, instead of templates, you're going to select TRW clip art and then TRW clip art CDR. So those change artwork and add artwork are going to pull from your clip arts, because those are the pieces that you're going to kind of change out, where the templates will be the actual template, where we might change out like a piece of the template, like the soccer ball to a football. That's going to be our changing and adding artwork. All right, so we'll start with the template. So we're just going to click Open Template. And this, let me set this because it's pulling from somewhere different now. So once we go in here, you'll see all the different files you have listed. So someone asked about the baby stats pack. Was there one of these that you were trying to work with? Let me try to scroll up and find that question again. Okay. So it looks like just kind of editing and going through one of these. So yours was different. It had script fonts. It might, if it's a different pack, it could be a different pack. But we can go through this one, and I'll just kind of still show you how it works. So what we're going to do is just double click on the design we want. So we'll use one with the two colors. That way it will separate for us. It's always going to open up into a new page. So you'll see how we have this new page that opened up, and we have our design now. So I'm going to hit Find Text, and you'll see all the text in my design listed in here. So now with all these different live templates, all I have to do now is click Jackson, and I can change this instead to Matthew or Sean. And you can see no matter what name I put in here, it's always going to fit into that area. So these are what we call the live text. Kind of what we did a little bit earlier. These are always going to hold its shape. Once we add those envelopes to them, it's always going to hold its shape. So I just hit enter, and it just goes right down or right next to the next text. If I don't need to change, maybe this date was fine and I just needed to skip, I can click Thursday, change that to Saturday. And yeah, someone asked if you can change the fonts. Yeah, definitely. It will come as a grouped image, so you'll just ungroup it, select that font you want, and just select your new font, and you can change it right out. Mine is only showing nodes. Kyle, did you do anything to it before you brought it in? Like convert it to curves, weld it, anything like that? All right, yeah. If you want to just send me email info at the Rhinestone World, and tomorrow we can connect and log into your computer and see what kind of issues are going on. None of these should open up. I know what you're saying. It's giving you kind of an error like this where it's just showing nodes instead of a box around it like this. So that's what we're looking for with these designs. That's the envelope shape that it's holding it to. Yeah, some of the designs in the summer mini packs are giving me an error saying unrecognized font. Yeah, all those should have it. Like I said, if you're getting an error with any of these live templates, just send us in the error. Just shoot us an email with it. Take a little picture or snippet if you can, and we'll get those fixed right away. It could just be one of those fonts went unrecognized. Like pretty much the designers that are making these are supposed to list all the fonts so we can make sure that they're included in it. It could have been that just one got forgotten about, so it's just we can go back and add it and then send out a new file, reinstall it, and it fixes it. So that's probably just something that happened like that with those, if it's saying it's not recognizing a font. Yep, so someone asked perfect. That's what the next step is. They asked if we can take our feet here, so this should be a grouped object, and we can switch it out with a different clip art. So let's say, you know what, I'm a big soccer fan. Let's hit change artwork here. Let's go to one of our sports packs, so our TRW Live Templates Volume 3. Select our soccer ball. And that's just going to not only switch it, but exactly in the shape or size that it was before. So then I can just come in here and click my color. If I wanted the blue, click the blue, and then I can match it right up there with the soccer. So this little timer, if I don't want that in there and I wanted just another sport, I could maybe include, let's see what else we have in our volume 2, and maybe include a bat or possibly even like a football in there instead. So you can change all these around. Now, up top here, you'll see this height and width option. So depending on the object that's there, when I switch this out with the football, you see how it leaked over here into this text area? That's because it's set to the height. So if I were to change this to set to the width, and I change this with the same artwork, see how the height, it doesn't match the height now, but it doesn't pass over into our text anymore. So it'll either stop at either boundary you set it to, the width or the height. So depending on the design that's in there, you might, it might take 2 clicks to see which one looks better, but you can switch it up by just switching up the height and width here, and it'll bring it in different ways. So someone asked, how would I change the size so when I cut it, it would be 8.5 by 8.5. So once I'm done, the first thing we want to make sure we always do is edit our design. Because once we get this ready to cut, we can't go back and edit it. So let's say we're done editing, we switched out our clip art that we want to switch out. Everything else looks good. Now what I can do is size my design and get it ready to cut. So you said 8.5 by 8.5. This isn't a perfect square. So it's right now our width is 11.5, our height is 10.5. So if we want our max width to be 8.5, all I do is I need to make sure my lock ratio is locked. And I come up here and I type 8.5, hit enter. It'll automatically adjust my height to match the proportion of my width. So now it's pretty much set. So what I can do is now we're going to go to the wizard and we're going to get this ready to cut. So that's one of our big features too, is our different templates that we're able to create with these in our software. So with our design here, what it's going to do when it separates these templates is if I go to the templates tab and you said vinyl overcut. So if I left click the vinyl overcut, it's going to separate all my designs. Now because it has such weird shapes in here, like these circles, it's going to try to recognize these as rhinestones. So it's thinking that it needs to separate these. So what we're going to do instead is, if you get an error like that, is we can select one of the blue pieces, or the dark blue, they're both kind of blue, and this middle button right here underneath our stone color will select all the same color for me. So I'm just going to select one shade of blue, select all the same color, and you'll see how it actually selects all that different blue. So it looks like this blue is a little bit different, so I'm going to manually select that. So all of our blue and I'm going to weld that. And then do the same thing with our second color. So I'm going to select all that. I like to always drag it a little bit away just to make sure everything's selected, and hit Control Z and it moves it right back. And then I'm going to hit weld again. So now once I've done that, when I create my vinyl overcut now, it will separate it into two perfect pieces. So yours isn't showing the yellow overlay. Yeah, usually that's weird that it's not, because there's no feature in here that even gets rid of it without the yellow boxes. Now when it separates this, we have a couple different options in every template we create. So with Lisa, with that one, we're just going to have to get in there and possibly see what's going on. No, because even if I select new page up here, what that does is it separates it and just opens up a new page at the bottom. But the yellow boxes should always remain there. Now we don't necessarily need to use those when we cut. So to save a little room, I could get rid of those yellow boxes. So I don't really have to even have those when it cuts. I just know that it just makes it a little bit easier to weed the design once it is cut. But technically, if it's separating like that for you, you could just send this, or you could actually just draw your own square right around it, and now it's almost the same thing that we just did. Someone asked if we use the vinyl overcut for the flock. Yes, you can use that feature. It works pretty well with the Graphtec and the roll-in. If you're using a different color like the Silhouette or possibly like the GCC, you still might want to use the Stone 2 Plus cut instead. Alright, so while we're in the Templates tab, let me go ahead and show you our different templates that you're able to create. And that goes with most of these options here. So the Magic Rhinestone templates, those are going to be used for more of your rhinestones. Someone just asked if you could use the vinyl overcut for rhinestones too. You can. It's a great setting if you have the Graphtec. Usually we'll use the vinyl overcut for like everything rather than the Stone 2 Plus cut. But you can actually use both of those. So if in doubt, you can always use the Stone 2 Plus cut. If you have the Graphtec or Roland, you can also use the vinyl overcut with stones. Now, if a design already has, let's say you purchase a rhinestone design from us, it's already going to come with a template attached to it. So it's going to come with those yellow boxes around it. If you want to add a Stone 2 Plus cut or a vinyl overcut to those, all you're going to use is these bonus cut options. So if you have a design and you already have it set up with this vinyl overcut, and then you add another, or let's say you purchase a design from us, and it's going to come as just this regular magic separator. If I wanted to add like a special vinyl overcut to it, I don't hit this magic vinyl overcut here, because then it's going to give me this just a box around a box. We don't want that. So instead, if you already have this template separated and you want to add a cut to it or vinyl overcut, you use the bonus cut option. So all I do is highlight, hit vinyl overcut, and now it takes the design I already have and creates it into a vinyl overcut rather than creating like an extra box to cut just a box. But with all these different options, if you highlight over any of these options and look down here at the bottom, it shows you special features that it can do. So if I right click, it will mirror, and if I shift click, it will add registration marks. So anyone that watched the live today that Lisa and Gabe did, to create those vinyl, the decal stickers, we used a shift click, because what that does is, let's say I wanted this as a lot of it will be more of like a decal sticker. This one's not going to be probably crazy hard to line up, but if I wanted to make it a little bit easier on myself, I can hold shift, use the vinyl separator or the vinyl overcut and left click, and it's going to add registration marks to my design. So now it makes it super easy to line up any decal that's more than one color. And if I had 3 colors, it would separate each one and give us the registration marks that each one will match up to. A lot of these designs will be used for heat transfer vinyl, so we're going to always have to mirror that. So it just saves you a step by right clicking. It'll go ahead and mirror your design and get it ready to send to your cutter. Now, if you have your cutter already set up to mirror, just make sure you're not mirroring it twice, because then it's just going to cut regular, and when you go to press it, it's going to be backwards. So if you already have your cutter set up to mirror, you don't need to right click, you'll just do the left click, but if not, it will save you a step by right clicking. Alright, so let's go ahead and we'll open up another template, and we're just going to run through another one real quick, and just so we kind of get the hang of everything. So you'll see us use this one a lot. It's a great example. So right here, we just click open template, open our design. We got a question come in. I just cut one of your templates. I had a hard time brushing that 10 SS stone. One of the possible reasons is you can enlarge. So someone asked, I had a hard time brushing in some of the SS10 stones. Just created a template. I had to manually put a lot of the stones in the hole. One reason could be we just need to update the circle size. So up top here on your wizard, you'll see my SS10s are set to 0.135. It could be just something as simple as that. And to change that, you just click on this pencil right here. Select the SS10. The fixed size is probably set to 0.130 right now. Just set that to 0.135. Click add and save. And now those stone circles will just be a little bit bigger, and hopefully those brush in a little bit nicer. Now, if it's already set to 0.135, we just want to make sure the circles are nice, clean circles. They're not look more like ovals or anything like that, because if that's the case, there could be like a problem with our cutting mat or something like that. So there could be a couple reasons why it's doing that. But that's the first thing we want to look at, is make sure this is 0.135. If not, it could be the circles aren't actually cutting as like perfect circles, and that could be more like a cutting strip error or blade depth, something like that. Yeah, so Pillar asked about changing this price for the vinyl. I'm about to get in that in about 5 minutes. So once that comes up, I'll show you how to edit the cost for your HTV. Awesome. So real quick, just hit find text, and then we're just changing this from Brain River. We could go to Lakewood Mustangs, and again, as I type, you'll see it fit. And we can change this to baseball or basketball and go ahead and leave that in there. So now let's go ahead and get this one ready to edit. So I'm going to merge my 3 color. That fixes our design right here. So now our next big feature with our software is our pricing calculator. And that's what Pillar was just referring to a second ago is, so with our designs, let's say we have this design ready to go. Our next step is going to be kind of sending a proof to our customer, possibly with the glitter. Let's say it's going to be a glitter t-shirt. So what we can do is all of our red, we'll go ahead and set that to, we'll make that green glitter. All of our black, set that to a blue, and we'll go ahead and actually weld all that just so it makes it a little bit easier. So make that green, and then we'll make the black our blue glitter. So what we've done is we've edited our design, and now we need to size it. So they want this 9 inches wide. So we're going to go ahead and size it. And then we're choosing the colors that we're actually... Oh, great call, Pillar. So, forgot to change the soccer ball. So to do that, we're going to select the soccer ball, hit change artwork, go to our clip art, basketball, thank you again, and then I'm just going to weld that to our blue, and now that's set up. Yeah, so someone asked, when you're opening up a new document, it's always like going to say 8.5 by 11. That's just the page. It doesn't necessarily mean, you can't design out of that or anything like that. I'm used to a Cameo having it set for a 12 by 12 mat. You can set this, like if you don't have anything selected, you can set this to 12 by 12. So if that helps you kind of design in that area, you can preset that. And actually, I believe in the customization, in one of these, document general page size. So yeah, right here you can actually apply this so it opens up to a 12 by 12 every time. So if that makes it easier to like design in, you can. It doesn't mess. Some of the software you need it to be inside this page area when you send it over to your cutter. Some of the newer software you don't necessarily have to have that inside this like page anymore. I know with the older software and like I think with the silhouette you do have to have that in there. Again, most of it, some of the software now, you like the cutter software, you don't actually have to have it in this like page or workspace. But I kind of always like to set it in there when I'm done, and that's that button on the wizard too. So if your page, let's say it was like an 8 by 8 page, and your design doesn't fit in there, and you need to send it over to your cutter, you can just highlight your design, click the white box on the wizard, and it will size it to fit inside. The box will fit to your design now. Okay. So going through our features real quick, our next one is our pricing tool. So this is what is going to really help your business, especially starting out, is it's going to help you price or know how much money you have in your design. So if I left click my money sign, again, I preset this with the vinyl we already have preloaded. So we chose the magic glitter, we chose the green and the blue, so it's in our glitter colors. If I were to have this green set up into this green from our color palette over here, it's not going to give me any pricing because this isn't actually a vinyl color. So if I wanted this in a flat green, I would go to my Easy Weed and select the green that matched the best. So you do have to get the pricing, you will have to use the colors in these preloaded color palettes. You can't add your own brand right now. What you can do is pretty much just know that like if you get Easy Weed, you can, instead of Easy Weed, it's this brand instead. So you just update the pricing to match it. But you, as of now, you can't actually add your own brand. So once I set this up, again, we size it to the dimensions we want. So we're at 9.7. I left click my money sign, and it's going to tell me that I have 91 cents in true blue glitter and $1.01 in the green grass glitter. So right there, it's just going to tell me how much product I have in this design, which will really help out when we're starting out, because it's just to give us an idea of how much product we're putting into each shirt. Now, this is what Pillar was asking earlier, is everyone's going to buy at different pricing. So when I'm starting out, I'm probably just going to buy when I have an order. I'm not just going to get like 100 feet of blue glitter just to get 100 feet. You know, if I have a client that uses blue glitter all the time and there's a sale, I might buy 100 feet of it. But, you know, we're probably only buying a few feet here and there to start out with. So if I want to get this pricing more accurate, I can right click on this arrow and I can update the pricing of any glitter or any of the products that are listed. So this is where you can set up, you know, let's say you never use holographic and you buy a product that you use a lot that's not on here, you can just pretend the holographic is the same or is whatever vinyl you want and just update the pricing for it. So the width is in inches and the length is in feet. So the easy weed is set to 15 inches and we're saying at 15 feet it's $36. So this is based off buying at 15 feet pretty much for everything you see here. So if I buy at 100 feet, I could update this to 100 and maybe for 100 feet it's $995. So I just update the price, hit update, and now it's going to go off my pricing from here instead. And then just hit save, and then your pricing will be updated. Now, that's just kind of the start of the pricing calculator. We actually have our advanced pricing calculator, and that's going to be a right click on our money sign. Because right now, when we just left click, we just found out that we have $1.92 in our our vinyl cost. That's great to know, but it doesn't really help us with all of our other costs. So if I just go off this $1.92, well, let's say I'm trying to, you know, price it low and make, you know, some clients first. So, you know, I'm going to price it at $12. That way each shirt I make or each shirt I sell is a $10 profit. Well, it's not actually going to work out that way because when we start adding up all of our other costs, we're going to have way more than $1.92 in our cost. So it doesn't account for like waste. It's going off of the design that you see here. So like there's going to be little pieces in here that we're going to weed out. So it's going off of the base dimensions. So if you had like, you know, something else in green grass that you need cut that was small enough, you could fit it in here and it'd be the same cost. So it's not like accounting for like all this like open material. It's thinking that for the green grass, you have to cut a piece this big in order to use it. So it's going off of the cost of this piece of green grass. So if I had like this size and I had this piece right here, if I run it through the cost analysis, they're pretty much going to be the same cost because it's just going by the height and width of that piece you're using. So now, instead of just left clicking, we're going to right click our money sign. So this is going to be our advanced pricing calculator. Here you can actually save basic setups. So you see here I added one for basic pricing, waive setup fee. So let's say we have a customer that, you know, sends us designs every week. Well, they're a special customer. We waive all their setup fees. So now I can do my base pricing. This is just for someone that comes here and there. So setup and design fee, $15. The rate of the employee is $12. Let's say for this design, to set up and design it, well, it's a live template, so it took them, you know, 2 minutes to complete it. The retail price for the finished design. So this is going to be how much we're charging for this shirt afterwards. So let's say each one of these shirts, let's do it, we'll lowball it first. So let's say, like I said, we wanted to make some money off of it because our cost was only $1.92. So we're going to lowball it and do, $12 shirt. So we thought our profits would be about $10 a shirt. The discount for the customer, we're not going to provide a discount on this one, but if we wanted to, I could do 5%, 10%. And you'll see in some of the preset ones, like this one here, I'll show you after, it's a new customer. So it automatically adds a 15% discount for new customers off their first order. So it's a way to save you time without having to go back and fill these out every time. So we'll say 0. Blank being used, you can actually write in the name if you want. So you could do Gildan basic white tee, anything you want to describe it. And my blank cost for that T-shirt. So let's say I got it on when it was on a big sale, so it was $1.25 a T-shirt. Same employee, so it's still $12. And this is how many minutes did it take to produce each product. So that's cutting, weeding, and pressing each shirt. So let's say 5 minutes per shirt, and the total quantity being produced, let's say 25 for this basketball team. Our next question is, what is your total overhead for your monthly overhead? So your rent, electric, internet, phone, water, etc. Now, starting out, this is going to be different for everyone. You know, you're not probably just going to jump right into storefront when you have no customers. So at the beginning, you might be working out of a spare bedroom or just, you know, in your house. So you might just want to dedicate some of this, you know, hey, I got a heat press running. My electric's going to go up maybe $50 a month. There's $50. Well, I'm going to split, you know, I use the phone and internet a lot for my business. So I'm going to deduct a little bit of, you know, maybe $20 of that towards my business. You don't want to leave it blank, because then when you go to make that next jump, you're going to have all these costs that you're not really accounting for, and it's going to hurt you in the long run. So even if it's low, you're working out of your garage for a few months or a year, you can, you know, put $300 in there, and you're just paying part of your utilities and part of your rent towards your business. And then your last question is, how many products do you make a month on average? So that's going to differ a lot from starting out too. You could be, you know, starting out, you might do 10 projects a month, where you might, you know, 2 years down the line, you might do 500 designs a month. So that number is always going to change, but each shirt you make is a product. So on this order alone, the total quantity being produced, we said 25. This isn't how many products. I wouldn't put one for this order. We would put 25. So think of it like that. So if you have, you know, a few shirt order a month, it might be 200 shirts. That's 200 products. So starting out, we're just going to put, let's just say 100. And then once I'm done, I hit price. And it's going to generate a price based off of all the information I just provided. So our vinyl cost, like we said at the beginning, was just $1.92. Now we have our t-shirt costs. So our total material cost jumped up to $3.17 now. So next we had our production cost for our employee wages. And even if you're working by yourself, you're still putting in employee wage because you want to make money yourself. So don't leave that blank thinking like, I don't have to pay anybody, because then again your numbers are going to be skewed and they're not going to look right when you have to hire an employee, or you want to start paying yourself. The numbers aren't going to add up right. So even if you're paying yourself $9 an hour, $10 an hour, just put something in there so it's more realistic. So again, $12 an hour. It took them 5 minutes to produce each shirt. So each shirt cost you $1 for your employee wages, and the overhead cost was $3 a shirt. So again, that's pretty low overhead too, because we said our overhead cost was only like $300. So for $3 a shirt plus our product, our employee wages, plus our $3.17, now we're at $7.17 a shirt. So when we said we only wanted charge $12, well, that was based off this $192 price. So you can see how much price goes up from just your vinyl. So afterwards, with all your other material costs as well, it went up almost another $5. So this is why we want to pay attention more to the advanced pricing calculator, because it's going to show you that we only made $120 off a project that took us 2 hours to make. So it's not horrible, but our business only made 58. So after paying everyone, you still only made 58. So it's really not that good for 2 hours of work. We want a little bit more than that. So that shows us that if we go back and increase this price to maybe $22 a shirt, everything's going to jump up and our profits are going to be a little bit nicer per project. So if you get something, when you type in all this information, if this total business per hour looks pretty low, it might just be because you price your t-shirt too low, or you'll be able to see where your costs are too high. So maybe your employee cost is a little bit high, or they're working a little bit too slow, so we need to increase those areas. So this advanced pricing calculator is going to help with a lot of those features. Now, once you're done, you can actually preset and save customer information in here too. So that way, this will just fill out on their order forms, and you can create these custom printable pricing breakdowns. You'll have one for internal, and you'll check one for customer. You just hit create printable pricing breakdown, and now it's going to create a nice order form that you can also send to your customer. It's going to include their name, all your information, but it breaks down what they're getting. So it shows them the retail, how many we're producing, the whole price, gives them a little area to sign. And then it'll also create an internal pricing. So this is more on your end. It breaks down all your information of how much money you're going to make, how much you charge them, how much went into the vinyl and everything like that. So the breakdown of all this, you want to just make sure you never send this internal pricing to your customer, because then they're going to see that in material and cost you only have $7, and if we're charging them $25 a shirt, they might think of that and think they're being overcharged or something like that. So just make sure you always send the customer pricing tab, and the internal is just for your information. And everything on here you can still edit, so if you want to change the color scheme to any of these, you can definitely go through and edit all that as well. All right, so we're going to go through the mockup and mockup creator pretty quickly. I know we're almost getting to like 10:30. So we're going to brush through this one a little bit quicker, but we do have, I have a couple webinars just on the mockup and mockup creator itself. So if I go too fast or you want a little bit more information on it, just send us an email and I'll send you the webinar for the entire just straight up mockup and mockup creator. I get tomorrow morning off a little bit though, so it's okay if it's a little bit later. All right, so what's really cool about the software is the mockups itself. We already have all these preloaded products. So if you go to quick product type, you'll see the women's, men, youth, accessory. The hats aren't going to come custom, or those are a bonus or add-on. But we have the women's, the men's, the youth, the accessories, and each one of these will have preloaded products already in them. However, if there's a product that you use a lot or your customer uses, or maybe you want something different like a mug or glass or a pillowcase, anything you can really think of, you can custom and add it to your custom area in your mockup. So now you can bring in a shirt of any style and bring it into the mockup creator, save it, and always have it for your mockups. So to do that, we're going to go to our mockup creator. Now we have two different types of mockups to create. One allows you to color change the t-shirt. So there's a couple rules to that. The biggest one is it has to start, pretty much the only rule is it has to start as a white t-shirt to make it a color changing mockup. Now if you have any color t-shirt, you can still create a mockup that you can use in your mockup tab. You just won't be able to change it from a white t-shirt to a black to a green to a red. It'll just be, let's say it's like our black Under Armour t-shirts that we use for our trade shows. If I wanted to put a logo on that and test it, it would just always be the black Under Armour. I couldn't change it to a blue Under Armour shirt or a white Under Armour shirt. It would just stay as that black. Now again, if it starts as a white t-shirt like the one we have in our example, I can go from a white to a blue to a red to a black and so on. It doesn't matter. It'll just be a color changing t-shirt. So for whatever image we want in here, the first thing we want to try to do is and you can see this is just an image. It's not like it's nothing special. I just brought this in I searched Gildan t-shirts and I just brought this, copied and pasted it in here. So what we're going to do is the first thing we always want to do is try to create an auto boundary. So I click this button. So once I click that button, this one worked perfect. You can see, and this under or above the create auto boundary, it has a 0.2 right above it. What that does is find the outside and brings it in just a little bit, because you can see on the outside edge, look how pixelated that is compared to where my line is. So it cuts out all that pixelation, so it just makes this mock-up is going to look so much cleaner once it's finished, because it's going to cut all this pixelation out on the outside. So because it gave us that perfect outline, we're good to go. Now, for some reason, it had some shading and it brought in a weird outline where it had just like my vector like this. And when you bring in different t-shirts, you'll see it. You can play with the different brightness, contrast, shadow, and midtones to try to make it so it kind of gets rid of those shadows and gives you a better read. If it doesn't, just like we used the B-spline tool here or earlier in our demo, this is actually the B-spline tool right here too. So I can click on that and manually go around and trace the outside of my design. So that's how, if it doesn't trace it with the auto tracer, you just manually trace it yourself. So once we do that, because this is going to be a color changing mock-up because we're starting with a white t-shirt, I highlight my entire design, including the image and that new outline, and I hit cut out color change mockup. So you'll see the bar down here kind of almost like a loading bar. So it's just going through the process. Once it's done, it's going to almost blink, and it's going to create a new mockup tab down here. So at this point, this is my new color changing mockup. So now I can come through here and change it to whatever color t-shirt I want. So when I'm ready to add this to my mockups, the next thing is I have to decide where I want my mockup to go on this t-shirt. So do I want a pocket? Do I want a full size? Do I want something on the sleeve? Do I want something on the bottom? So let's just say I want a full size t-shirt or full size design. So I'm going to do 9.5 inches. And I'm going to hit create design placement. So it's just going to give me a box. Up top, you'll see it says it's only 3.5 by 3, but this knows it's for a 9-inch design. So now I just have to place this box on the t-shirt wherever I want that design to show up. Yeah. So with the B-spline, someone mentioned too, we covered a little bit earlier, but when you're tracing, to go around like a design like this, if I want a sharp, clean angle, I'm going to hold V as in vector before I click. It'll give me a nice clean angle. Otherwise, if I don't hold that V, it's going to go around kind of rounded like this instead. And you can see you have more of a rounded edge here compared to that corner where it's nice and sharp. So if you want cleaner edges, you hold V as in vector before you click and just like let go, and it'll give you an image or a line just like that. So once we have our design placement set, we're going to come over here, and this will say like custom. It might not have custom 26. You can add as many customs as you want. You can copy over already created one, or just go to the next open area. So custom 13, and we're going to put in here instead Gildan. I use CC to know it's a color changing t-shirt. You can use any code you want. So you can just, you can know it's a color changing. You can put CC, you can put C, you can put, whatever you want to help you remember that it's a color changing t-shirt. So once we have that set up, we highlight the t-shirt and the red box, and I hit Save Custom Product. It's kind of going to blink like that real quick. Did I get rid of? Oh no, so right here. Okay. So now when I go to my mockups tab, I'll go ahead and sometimes I'll just close out of the wizard just to kind of refresh it when I do something like that. So you don't have to, but now when I go to my mockups, I go to a quick product. I go to custom, and you'll see instead of 13, it has Gildan CC t-shirt. And it's going to have my white t-shirt right there for me. So if I go back to my design, let's go ahead and bring this to a new page. So I got my design ready now. So I'm going to hit save. The first thing we're going to do. So someone asked a great question. If you need to resize the design, can you, or does it have to fit in the red box? So the box we set was 9.5 inches. So it's just kind of centered to that box. You essentially need to, you don't have to, you can change it in both screens. But I would, like, if my customer wanted this at 9.7, I would just leave it at 9.7, just the way it is. If it was like a 3-inch design, I would switch it to a 3-inch here. But you can always adjust it on the t-shirt to make it look a little bit nicer if you need to. And I'll show you what I mean by that in the next screen. So when we set up this mock-up, the first thing we're going to do is it's a quick product. So we choose the product and we hit Save Product. Then we're going to highlight the design, drop this second option to where it says Template Detail Steps to Design. Click Save Design and hit Create Mockup. So it's just going to throw it on that t-shirt we just created, and then I can go back and again change the color to whatever I want. But because it's 9.7, it matches up pretty well with that box that was there. But if I thought maybe this is going on a small t-shirt, so I know that it's going to look a little bit bigger, I can manually adjust it to maybe make it look like it would on like a small t-shirt compared to like a large or something like that. So you can adjust it once you're in this area just to make it look a little bit nicer on the t-shirt. All right, guys. Well, you have a great night and a great weekend if I don't see you or talk to you before then. And make sure you guys enter all the giveaways. It's free, so it doesn't hurt anything. And good luck to everyone that enters. Yeah, the recorded version, excuse me, the recorded version, what's today, Wednesday night? So yeah, it will definitely be up by Friday. So you'll have it ready for the weekend. All right, guys, you have a great night. Thanks again. Thanks for everyone that came out. It's always a great audience, great questions. If there's anything else you guys need or any questions you run into, any problems with any of the codes, please just send us an email at info@therhinestoneworld.com or give us a call at 941-755-1696. You guys have a great night.